Hello, today we are doing Mission 4a from Unit 4a as well. I can find unit rate. So unit rate is a ratio with a denominator of 1. We want to find the price for 1 unit or whatever situation we're talking about. For example, if Jose bikes 24 miles in 3 hours, the unit rate would be, well, how many miles can he bike in 1 hour? So finding it with a denominator of 1 or in terms of 1 hour or whatever time frame we're looking at. So we can write technically this as a proportion or a ratio. 24 in 3 hours, that would be written as 24 miles in 3 hours. So if we want to find a denominator of 1, we could just set up a proportion and cross multiply to figure out, well, how many miles will he go in 1 hour? So if we cross multiply, we'd multiply 24 times 1 and 3 times x. And if we do that, 24 times 1 is 24. Set it equal to the other cross, which is 3 times x. We would cross multiply, and the opposite of multiplying is dividing. 24 divided by 3 is 8. Well, if you look at this example, we cross multiplied, but in the end, all we did was 24 divided by 3, which happens to be exactly what we started with. We started with 24 miles in 3 hours. So he can bike 8 miles in 1 hour. We could have figured that out by simply dividing 24 divided by 3. If it takes 3 hours to go 24 miles, if we divide by 3, that'll tell us how much he can go in 1 hour, which is 8. Also, to get from this proportion to this proportion, we could just divide by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 24 divided by 3 is 8. So we can bike 8 miles for 1 hour. So we watched a video. If you didn't, I put a link in Schoology. It says find the unit rate. If you're buying fish, it's going to cost you $6 for, there's 2 fish here, 2 lbs's pounds of fish. So $6 per pound, or $6 for every 2 pounds. We want to know, well, how much does it cost for every 1 pound? So we could cross multiply to figure out 1 pound, or just simply divide. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So it will cost $3 for every 1 pound of fish. Again, if you cross multiplied, 2 times x is 2x, 6 times 1 is 6, and you just divide by 2 to get x equals 3. $3 for every 1 pound. Now that we know our unit rate, this is our unit rate, for every 1 pound, it's $3, they want to know, well, how many pounds can you get for $72? So if it's $3 for 1 pound, how much would it cost, or how much would you get for $72? So we can cross multiply. 3 times x is 3x. 72 times 1 is 72. So the opposite of multiply is divide. So really we're taking our cost and we're dividing it by 3. 72 divided by 3 should give us a nice 24. So on the bottom, x represented pounds, we could get 24 pounds of fish for $72. You must be feeding a lot of people with all of that fish. So again, there's 2 ways that you can solve these. You can cross multiply, or you can just divide. So let's flip over to the back side. Find the unit rate for the flow of water. So it's kind of hard to see here, but each of these is 3 gallons. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. There are 30 gallons of water, and you're running the shower for 10 minutes. So you want to know, find the unit rate for the flow of water. We're using 30 gallons of water every 1 minute. Or not 1 minute, 10 minutes. So we want to know, well, how many gallons would you use in 1 minute? Or unit rate would be a denominator of 1. How many gallons of water are we going to use in 1 minute? So again, we can cross multiply. This is a 10. To figure it out, 10 times x is 10x. 30 times 1 is 30. So we can divide by 10. 30 divided by 10 is 3, which is exactly what we had right here to begin with. 30 divided by 10. You can just divide to find your unit rate. You would use 3 gallons of water in 1 minute. So now that we use 3 gallons in 1 minute, they want to know how much water would you use if you showered for a half an hour. So first I'm going to write my unit rate, 3 gallons in 1 minute. But they want to know how many gallons of water am I going to use? How much water would you use? That's our question. If we showered for a half an hour, well, we're talking about minutes. Our units are in minutes. So a half an hour is 60 minutes. So a half an hour would be 30 minutes. So we can cross multiply, or we're really just multiplying 30 times 3, and then 1 times x is just 1x. So again, you're really just multiplying here. 30 times 3 is 90. If you divide by 1, you still get the same answer. You will have 90. 90 what? On the top we are looking for gallons. So in 30 minutes, in half an hour of showering, you will use 90 gallons of water. That's a lot. Hopefully you're not taking a 30-minute shower. That's a waste of money and water. All right, last question. Here we're driving in a car and we're going 100 miles in 2 hours. So how far do you go in 1 hour? Well, if we're going 100 miles in 2 hours, we want to know how many could you go in 1 hour, our unit rate, denominator of 1. You can just divide 100 divided by 2 would give you 50, or you can cross multiply. If you cross multiply 2 times x and 100 times 1, you're still just dividing by 2 to get 50 miles. So our unit rate, we go 50 miles per hour, 50 miles in 1 hour. So how long would it take you to go 275 miles? So 50 miles in 1 hour. We want to know how long, how much time would it take to go 275 miles. Miles are both on the top, so we're going to cross multiply. 275 times 1 is really 275. 50 times x is 50x. So we're really taking our total distance and dividing it into 1 hour chunks, dividing it by 50 to figure out, well, how many times am I driving 50 miles? Because every time I drive 50 miles, that's 1 hour. So I'm going to take my total, 275, and divide it by 50, and I get 5.5. It will take us 5.5 hours to drive 275 miles if we go 50 miles every hour. All right. I showed you a couple ways to find unit rate today. You need to find the unit rate on the entire front side. The first ones are set up nicely for you. You can either divide or create a, create a proportion. If you have 42 miles in 15 seconds, or m, whatever m is, they want to know how many could you do in 1 second. So you're finding the unit rate for all of these. On the